Hello, Uta here with a strawberry in bloom. I'm not going to be able to eat the strawberry from this one because I picked it. But it's from my strawberry bed where I have to go out as soon as I'm done with this and weed out a bunch of grass. But that comes out real easily, thank goodness. Yes. Um, now, this is about uh, a good reference that I want everyone to know about. I am on the list for parents with inconvenient truths about trans PITT, and this came to in my inbox today. It is an article by Pedro Gonzalez called "The Transgender Leviathan," published at an organization which is generally considered right leaning, but it's called American Principles Project, and it's to support the family. And this particular article is very, very good because it has a lot of the money trail and the paper trail of the whole uh, cross sex ideology, which is known as transgenderism. Okay. And this is quite important because it mentions the names of doctors who are influential, who have gotten a great deal of money from a list of organizations. And one of the things that came out of this funding is something called the gender unicorn. The gender unicorn previously was called the genderbread man, takeoff on the children's story. But now, in general, it's the gender unicorn. And this was um, developed by teenagers, by high school kids who were getting paid by the Arcus Foundation. I did a little bit of research into this, and it's right there. It's just out there. The gender unicorn is used in schools. This concept is used in schools to present the idea that you might be in your mind, you might actually be the opposite sex, or you might be something in between. And there are already demo videos and so on of these young people who are in this. They believe that they're non-binary, or they have the ideation that they are the opposite sex, and they get paid to go into schools and teach this. Now, it has confusing things about sexual orientation, and sexual orientation is typically conflated with a gender identity. I don't like using these words, but sometimes you have to use their words in order to explain how you are substituting more accurate terms, as in the Hagen lexicon. Now, I taught children when I was doing early grade science in kindergarten, a little stint in first grade. I taught children the difference between fact and fiction, and we actually learned how to write factual pieces, and we learned how to write fictional pieces. And this gender unicorn is a fictional concept used to explain another fictional concept. And I never had to teach it. I took early retirement in the fall of 2016, and I didn't have to teach it. And I rarely, even in Park Slope, Brooklyn, had students who came in saying that they are not the sex that their body tells them they are. There were 4 students that I had over 20 something years of teaching, and I gave all of them extra attention for their desired behavior when they did what I asked them to do, or they helped some friend in class and that type of thing. I asked them just careful, non leading questions about their home life. And every single one of them uh, stopped saying that, stopped asking for a new name, all of that linguistic captured um, chat and talk that they were saying, they all just stopped. They just desisted. It would probably be good if we had some studies from those who have desisted. Uh, Typically, it just became too much trouble, and there are studies showing that at least 80 to 85% of individuals will desist if left alone. Now, typically, it would be important to question children if they come in with this ideation because, as we know from Erin Brewer and others who desisted from this idea, from this cross sex ideation, we know that she tells the story of how she was being sexually molested as a child. And then she had an alter ego that she named Timothy that she wanted to be because she had the idea, which is understandable, that if she had not been a girl, that then this molesting of her wouldn't happen. And so it's important to find out if a child is saying this ideation because of some abuse experiences. I believe that Nettie, my ex husband, um, got into this mode of thinking mostly because of the physical abuse from his father. Looking back, I also believe that his father certainly had obsessive compulsive disorder. Um, he especially would obsess. I remember in my 20s being there at their house, and he was obsessed with the way in which the dishwasher was loaded. And he would stalk around behind whoever was loading the dishwasher in some way. I can't remember which way he liked better, insert things in the front first or insert things in the back first. I'm the daughter of a packing engineer who worked in the Pentagon during World War II, and I thought it made sense to open it all the way up and then put the things in the back first. But he would redo it. He literally would redo the dishes. And he wasn't doing this because people had just thrown things in and they were going to get broken. He did it because it was an obsession of his. And he was quite obsessed about things, and he was also physically abusive. And Nettie actually told me that sometimes he didn't have this ideation that he should be female. So it wasn't pervasive. He actually told me when I discovered the diaries, and I said, I feel like our whole marriage has been a sham and a lie. And he said, well, I wasn't thinking about it when we got married. I, I didn't think about it all the time. It's not something that I was thinking about all the time. So I think he got obsessed about it and developed his own OCD about the cross dressing because of then constantly thinking about it, leading himself down this path that he needs to pass as a woman, which you don't. You don't pass. Even if you have all this surgery on your bones and dangerous things, you don't pass. And you also will not experience the sexual arousal patterns of the opposite sex because you don't have those nerves and the doctors are lying to you. So the lie begins with the gender unicorn in schools. I advise parents to object to it with a group. Find a group of like-minded people and object to it. And you could even, I think, organize some kind of activity, your own little field trip or something, for the children to do instead of going to school that day. Parents deserve to know. what is being taught in school. My lesson plans were an open book. If parents wanted to know anything about what I was teaching, I was completely open, and that's the way it should be. So, back to the strawberries, that is to say, the weeds in the strawberries.